Good morning and welcome to the channel. So on today's segment, this is a second part of the previous video that we had that was discussing being a man after God's own heart. And on today's video, we just pick up where we left off last time. We talked about David being the greatest example of someone that we have in the Bible who was after God's own heart. And the reason why David was chosen as someone after God's own heart, as we pointed out in the earlier video, is because of how much he talked about God and how much he saw God in everything that he did. And basically today we're going to just pick up where we left off and discuss a few more examples just to shed more light on how great or how much he looked at God as a big area in his life. And so the first aspect of David's life that we are going to talk about today is how David was anointed as king. For those of you who are familiar or not familiar with the story, feel free to visit the book of 1 Samuel, where it discusses how David was anointed to be king. So this happened before he was even of age, if I can put it that way. When the prophet went to anoint him as king, his own father started bringing first his brothers, his other brothers, all those who the father believed, okay, this one is most likely to be king. And then finally at the end, that's when the prophet pointed out, no, actually, this young man who you've left out, this is the one who the Lord has chosen. And that's one thing you need to realize. If you're going to be a man after God's own heart, you need to realize that God looks at your heart. What your thoughts are, your innermost thoughts rather, that's what God perceives, and that's what the psalmist believed, and that's what that's the basis rather of what we see going on in the life of David. He did not necessarily do things because he was believing in an outward kind of thing, but he did things because he believed that in himself he had God backing him up in everything. And we look at this, for example, in the way he faced Goliath. Okay, when he stood before Goliath, he did not start talking about how big Goliath was, but instead he began to speak about how big God was in his life. And we see this by the way he came out talking about how he won previous battles in private because of God's strength. He was able to defeat a lion, he was able to defeat a bear, and he uses that as examples of why he was going to defeat Goliath at that particular point in time. That actually brings me to another aspect of David's life that is admirable, of how he was called a man after God's own heart. David always loved to praise God. If you look at many psalms, there are many psalms, like Psalm 103 talks about praising God. And basically that's what he did in this scenario when he was fighting against Goliath. He started praising God by describing how big his God is and all of that before beginning to look at the mountain that was before him. And that's just something you need to look at and admire about his life, about how much he valued his God and why he was called a man after God's own heart. You look at even when the Ark of the Covenant was being brought in, how he danced to the point where even his clothes were falling off. You know, his wife looked at him in disappointment, but he as king did not care because he was dancing for God and he didn't care how people perceived him. And that's how you should go through life. You shouldn't fail to make certain decisions because you're afraid of what people will think about. You need to think about how your life decisions are affecting what God perceives about you, because God looks at the heart. Remember that. So you're not trying to impress your fellow human being, you're trying to impress God, you know. So in everything that you do, put God first, just as I have mentioned from the example of David, how he did not care rather about how people looked at him, as long as he was in the right with his God. And that's the kind of life you need to have if you're going to make it. I love how the Bible talks about how even in the office, right now I'm taking this video from the office, there'll be a lot of stress that is going to come, but you need to work as unto the Lord and not to men. And then and only then can you truly say, I'm a man after God's own heart, because you're trying to bring out the best and make sure that God receives the glory in everything that you do. And so in this day, I say, have a blessed day, and remember, you are a man or a woman after God's own heart. And take David as an example. He wasn't perfect, but at least he remembered to put God first in everything. Whenever you do something wrong, remember to get back to God immediately and ask for forgiveness. Whenever you do something right, remember to praise God immediately. Put him first and you will never regret it. So thank you very much for watching. Remember to hit the like button and subscribe, and also share this video with someone who you believe it's going to bless. So thank you very much for your time, and take care.